Everyone, how are you all? I hope you are fine. Now we are moving towards the conclusion of chapter 2 of political science for 11th class. Today we are going to discuss the last fundamental right, that is known as right to constitutional remedies. In Hindi we call it संवैधानिक उपचारों का अधिकार. First we should know what is this right. This right provides us right to protect our all fundamental rights, and many times this right is called the soul of fundamental rights. That means संवैधानिक अधिकारों की आत्मा. Now, why do we call it so? In fact, many times the government that is in power, that tries to be dictator, and many times they try to control over the rights of citizens. Though in our constitution government has been given such right, but in very rare situation, so that the government may not use this right to control the rights of citizens, our constitution makers were aware about it, and that's why they gave the rights to citizen. In case of violation of their rights, they can go to court for the protection of their rights. Now the question is where the citizen should go. Earlier the citizens were allowed to go to the Supreme Court for the protection of fundamental rights, but seeing the increasing burden over the courts, now this power has been transferred to high courts also. But here we must know that without this right all fundamental rights are useless, because whether we have five rights, other five rights, but if we do not have this sixth right, then how can we protect our fundamental rights? For this purpose, the court can issue various special orders known as writs. You can see on the screen the first writ, that is habeas corpus. Habeas corpus, that means a writ of habeas corpus. That really means the court orders that the arrested person should be produced before the court. It means the the court orders the authorities to produce that person physically in the court. In Hindi we call it Bandi Pratyakshikaran Yachika. It means the person who has been put in prison or who has been put behind bars, or he is not traceable, then the court orders the authority to bring that person before the court. Many times some person who are arrested in illegal way, then the court can order the authorities to release that person. I hope this point is clear to you. The second is mandamus. Now what do you mean by mandamus? Here mandamus means, in Hindi we call it param adesh or parmadesh. This writ is issued when the court finds that an officer is not performing legal duty. Means when the court finds that a public servant, he is not following his responsibilities in proper manner and the right of a person is being affected, then the court can issue this order. The third, that is known as prohibition. Prohibition in Hindi we call it Nishedh Adesh. If a lower court has considered a case going beyond its jurisdiction, that means when a lower court, if a matter does not come under the jurisdiction of a lower court, then the higher court or the high court or the Supreme Court can issue this order to stop it. Next, quo warranto. Quo warranto. Now, what does this mean? This means adhikar pricha. When the court feels that a person is holding office but not entitled to hold that office, it means the person does not deserve that post, but still he has been appointed for such post, then the court issues order and stops him to stop work. The next is certiorari. In Hindi we call it Utpreshan Yachika. Utpreshan Yachika. When does court issue this order? It is an order to lower authority to transfer the pending matter to the higher authority. Many times you see court issues order to the local court to transfer that case. It means court notices that matter that it is important to be heard by the upper court. In that case, the upper court orders the lower court to transfer the matter to the upper court. Except these, there are some other commissions, other authorities also, like National Commission on Minorities. This commission takes care that the rights of minority must not be violated. In same way, National Commission on Women, that works for the welfare policies for the women. Similarly, National Commission on Scheduled Caste, that frames the policy for the upliftment of the neglected societies. And next is our National Human Rights Commission, which we call Manav Adhikar Ayog. It means this authority or this commission works for the human rights. It watches that rights of a common citizen must not be violated. Now we come to directive principles of the state. Now, what are directive principles of the state? Our constitution maker knew well that an independent India may have to some such challenges. When they have to bring all the citizens under equality and to make policies for the welfare of all citizens. Therefore, they felt the requirement of some directive principles. But the constitution makers did not want to impose it on the government. So they tried to implement such directions through the courts. They did not try to implement these rights through the courts, because in case of fundamental rights you can go to court, but regarding directive principles of the state you cannot go to court. These are mere directions to the states. These are only directions to the state that they have to do work for the welfare of the citizens, but men or citizens cannot go to court to issue an order to the state so that these orders should be implemented. That is why such rights are called non-justiciable. It means court cannot issue an order regarding implementation of such issues. Like, though our constitution maker wanted that there should be ban on liquor, but they left it on the states whether they ban it or not. A person cannot go to court to issue an order to the state government to ban on the sale of liquors. So I hope now you have understood the difference between the two directive principles of the state as well as the fundamental rights. Except these, there are some other issues also, like I would like to mention some directions to the states. That were issued by the authorities. Like, if we discuss about it, then we will come to know about it. Like the directive principle list that contain mainly three things: the goals and objectives that we as a society should adopt, certain rights that individuals should enjoy apart from the fundamental rights, and third, certain policies that the government should adopt. So in this way we can understand it well. Besides these, there are some fundamental duties also, because we understand that without duties there cannot be rights. Like, if we have a right to get education, then it is the duty also to get education and continue the studies well. Similarly, we have right to be treated equally, but it is equally important that we should respect the rights of others. Now we talk about fundamental duties. In 1976, the 42nd Amendment to the Constitution was passed. Among other things, some amendments were added to fundamental duties of citizens. There are 10 fundamental duties which have been mentioned in our Constitution. Like, we should conserve our resources, we should respect our Constitution, we should respect our national symbols, we should respect our cultural heritage. In this way, 10 fundamental duties have been mentioned in our constitution, like to defend our country, promote harmony among all citizens, protect the environment. So it becomes our duty. And if we wish that we should have rights, only rights, but we should not have duty, then it is not possible. If you respect others, then first learn to respect others. It means getting respect, that is your right, but respect others, it is your duty. So I hope now you will be able to understand it well. Now you have to prepare notes on the fundamental rights. Why do we call them fundamental rights? And you have to describe different fundamental rights, as well as you have to prepare comparison between fundamental rights and the directive principles of the state, and pen down the fundamental duties. Till then, in our next chapter, we will try to understand our constitution. Till then, bye bye. Thank you.